Parshat Mishpatim speaks about the civil laws and the laws of damages. And one of the items that causes damage is the shor hamazik, an ox. And there are two different categories. There's a tam, there's an ox that's never gored before, just not in its nature. And then there's a shor hamuad. There is an ox that has now become a habitual gorer. This is something that it does. It's gored once, it's gored twice, it's gored 3 times. And there's a difference between the two halachically. The first one only pays chatzi nezek, half damage, because this is not normal behavior for an ox. They're quite a docile animal. But once already it's established a pattern that it gores, then it has to pay nezek shalem, full damage. What the Torah is speaking here about is the concept of hergel, of establishing patterns and habits. In the case of the ox, it's a docile animal. It gores once, and then its nature starts to change. And it gores again, and then it becomes a fierce, violent animal. And the same, of course, is true of human nature. Habit is what rules us all. This is what Rabbeinu Yonah writes in his famous book, Sharei Tshuva. He says, Hergel al kol davar shilton, that habits is what is the most powerful thing over human beings, either good habits or, God forbid, bad habits. The Talmud says that kevan she avar adam avera, when a person does a sin, v'shinaba, and then he repeats it, na'aseit lo keheter. He views it as if it's permitted. The first time he knows, it's terrible. I'm doing a sin. I feel so bad. I feel so guilty. Then he does it again. He doesn't feel so guilty. Not only does he not feel so guilty, but he actually justifies it to himself. He says, you know what? I was entitled to that. I deserve it. I also want to feel nice. You know, what's wrong with giving into human desire? They justify it. And then he forms a habit of doing something wrong. But of course, the same is true the opposite way around. We have to study Torah. We have to learn mitzvot. Many people complain. Studying Torah takes so much time. Doing mitzvot take resources. But our sages say that schar mitzvah, the reward of one mitzvah is another mitzvah. And why is that so? So Rabbeinu Yonah explains, yes, a mitzvah is difficult. And it takes time and efforts. But when you do a mitzvah and you go out of your way, out of your comfort zone, and you give the time and you give the resources and you put in the effort, so when another mitzvah comes, it's not as difficult because you're already in the mode of doing mitzvot. You don't want it to become rote and robotic, but at least you're in the habit of doing it. And this is what we want to do. We want to try and promote good habits. Do one mitzvah, do it again. And that's why the Balei Musa, that's why the great Jewish ethicists say that when you have a lot of money, don't take it and give it all to one institution, but rather divide it up and give some charity and give some more charity, because each act of giving actually creates a habit in which you become a generous person who gives donations. So just like the ox is able to establish a pattern of, in that case, bad behavior, so to a human being. But just as easily, or with a little bit of effort, we can establish good habits and do mitzvot and study Torah. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.